Hello, I'm Xavier Poix, the studio director at Ubisoft Montpellier. We're here in the lair where Beyond Good and Evil and King Kong were born. Now we're working on the new adventures of Rayman, with the latest sequel coming out at the end of the year on all consoles. So the team here in Montpellier has been around for a long time, with some of them having worked on Rayman 1, Rayman 2, Beyond Good and Evil, and King Kong. Obviously, the team has grown over the years with many talented people, but the core of the team has been working on video games since the beginning. That's how we were able to create the prototypes for the pre-production of Rayman very quickly, keeping in mind that work on Rayman started around the same time as King Kong, and we were able to pick up the pace as soon as King Kong was finished in order to be ready to bring out the game on the new generation of consoles for this Christmas. As soon as we heard Nintendo talking about the new Wii system that is coming out at the end of the year, we knew we were on the same track, had the same philosophy. Wii is a console that plans on targeting all generations, from kids to adults, and which is based on a very simple concept: fun. Life in Montpellier changed the day the bunnies arrived.
Coming back to Rayman, we know it's a universe based on creation and creativity. Rayman's world finds itself invaded by bunnies who are completely wild, completely crazy, and extremely aggressive. So they come up from the ground to invade, for some unknown reason, Rayman's world. Instead of having the scariest, most horrible monsters ever, like every other monster, we find ourselves face to face with the cutest thing we've ever seen. It's the adorable little white bunny with the little hearts, but in reality, he has a much darker side, and if you ask me, this will be one of the most ferocious enemies that Rayman will ever have to overcome in his entire career. So, new enemies, new activities with the dancing aspect, but also to have the capability to climb onto the back of creatures that we summon up. Creatures that fly, that swim underwater, that climb all over the place. So the player is going to be able to do more things than ever before. With these new innovations, we have a better grasp of Rayman's world, which on previous consoles was a bit restricted. And now we'll be able to explore the same fantastic world, but with much more liberty and with the combination of action and adventure at the same time. One of the novelties of the new Nintendo gamepad is to be able to translate a movement into an action. So when you do this like this, it would become a series of rapid punches like Kung Fu. Yeah! Like that! If the player slams his two fists on the ground like this, he'll destroy the ground. There are a lot of very interesting movements. We can throw a grapnel, whip something around you. So instead of giving the orders with a button, it's the movements that actually allow you to move Rayman and link tons of movements together, like dancing even. It's relatively instinctive because we memorize quite easily a movement. It's more natural than just pressing buttons. Rayman will have to surpass himself and also use different costumes. That's a new aspect for this latest episode, because there are tons of costumes that the player can select from, which will allow him to sneak through certain zones, but which also have various functions. Each costume corresponds to a musical style, so the player can decide to start some hip-hop music, or why not even classical music. Each musical style has a specific impact on the bunny invaders, who, with their big ears, are extremely receptive to the different kinds of music. So the player will have a large choice. It's also a kind of liberty that this Rayman will have, to be able to dress how we want, listen to the music we want, keeping in mind that it will have an impact on the environment, the bunnies, and the enemies in general.